G'day, g'day, g'day! It's that time. Episode 1 of Drag Race Down Under Season 3 has finally begun. We have got our first look at our brand new batch of queens. We've got to see what they have to offer. And here to chat with me about this third historic season of the show is one of the glorious judges, the lovely Mr. Rhys Nicholson. Hello!
Oh, I just tried to spin and then I got caught on another chair. Hello! Classy.
Classy as always. How has it been being invited back for your third run on this iconic show?
I'm glad it wasn't a fluke the second time. It's genuinely nice because it also feels like, we have a lot of guest judges this year, and it means that we kind of I've almost like taken it as my role to kind of welcome, because they sit next to me and we're kind of down the end together, and I get to kind of show them the ropes and that kind of stuff. And so yeah, it's and this year I get to do a little bit more kind of, I'm doing a little bit of coaching later on, and like it just feels like I feel, from the get-go, and I mean, I think this always sounds like something I'm saying just for press, but I was welcomed in very quickly. Like, it was like, it is a family and they did welcome me in, but it definitely feels like by now to be on the third one, it's like, oh, they trust me. They know that I'm not like, I officially have now lasted longer than Santino. And oh, who was the other? Who did
Mel
Michelle?
Ginsburg?
Yeah, Mel Gibson. I had a little aneurysm there. Don't worry about it.
Merle. It was Merle. Just you beat
Yeah,
Merle.
yeah. So I've lasted longer than her. I've got a legacy now.
Yes, you've cemented yourself. You're part of the panel. So they can't go on without you anymore, now,
Yeah.
can they?
No. I've just always been waiting for me to just turn up to work one day and either Joel Creasy or Nath Valvo was sitting in my seat. I'm like, all right, well, time for
I'm
me
off. And speaking of guest judges, there's a big lineup. There's the usual, I suppose, that we get for any drag race season, which is different because the last season it's been who's going to Skype in and say good day for 5 seconds, but this time you've got real people.
And I think that's it as well. Like we were officially out of COVID by that point.
Yeah.
Like even like by season 2, I think people don't understand because it gets filmed months before it goes out on air. Everything was pretty COVID-y free by the time it was on air, but we were still kind of in it. And so people get so like, why don't they just fly them over or something? It's like, because we could. Like, it's crazy. I was on it. Yeah, it's very exciting. I loved, the likes of Adam Lambert and like, Maria Thattil. Like, I got to sit next to like a Miss Universe. That was very exciting. She was teeny tiny. Picked her up, popped her in my pocket. But I was really excited about Amy Taylor from Amyl and the Sniffers because I really love the band. And I think this is something that Drag Race does really well on all the kind of iterations of it, is that they almost introduce us to people. Like, I think Amy Taylor from Amyl and the Sniffers is not necessarily the most obvious booking for Drag Race Down Under, but to put her on there and introduce her in that way to an audience, and also let the audience know that you can be a fan of Amyl and the Sniffers and of Drag Race Down Under at the same time. But I don't know, people like I remember this recently. Lizzo was on Drag Race really early on, like, and they almost it was one of her first kind of big gigs to get, and then by the time the second time she's coming, I love that it's a space that sometimes you know who the guest judge is, and sometimes it's a megastar, and sometimes it's someone they want you to know. That's always pretty.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that because I love half the time going, who the fuck is that? Particularly with the US thing, because the US is so niche sometimes as well. The contestants are like, oh my God, and people in Australia are like, who the fuck?
But I think it's also such a strange thing with audiences sometimes that are like, if they don't know who you are, then they're automatically untrustworthy of you. And it's like, when I got announced as the guest judge, who boy, as the original judge, who boy were people like, who the fuck is this? And it's like, yeah, you don't know who I am, and then I get a job on a big TV show, and now you know who I am. That's how fame works. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a very I'm glad that we can kind of have shows like that get you like all huge. Like, I was talking to someone the other day about on shows like Letterman and Conan, like all these kind of big talk shows. Often the bands were people you didn't know, and it was a good booker's job is to introduce the audience to these people. And yeah.
Yeah, got to get him out there. Now, do you know much in advance as to who it's going to be, or are you just like walking down the hallway and like, ah, hi, Adam Lambert, you're on the show today? Like,
I try not to, because also things change sometimes, and you don't want to you don't want to get your hopes up too much all the time. I usually like if we're filming one day, I'll be like, hey, who's in next week? And they'll usually let me know. But no, I like to keep everything kind of a secret. Like I usually get to work the morning of a like a challenge day or a runway day and find out what's going to happen. I do that kind of purposely. Like I don't want to go in there with any kind of expectation, because that's kind of the point of the show. When we're judging on the main stage, we're judging what we're seeing now, or we're judging that particular challenge. We're not basing it on, like, I never know what happened in the workroom until I watch the show, and that's kind of thrilling. Like
yeah,
I don't watch many things that I'm in, and I watch Drag Race Down Under because sometimes I just want to know, like, it'll be like, oh, so that's what that look on the main stage, like that's why she was death staring her. Anyways, it's fun. I
find
get
it
to
all out.
have the same kind of drama.
I love it. Now it's like each of the seasons have got their own unique and style and personality about them. So
Mm-hmm.
what is it about this season of these girls? What is their unique style and personality about them? It's different to the last two.
I think what I am quite excited about people to see with this season is that there's not too many queens coming in this season with a lot of like what I would call baggage. Like the first two seasons, we had people like Art and Karen and Queen Kong, like people that maybe, and Spanky had been on House of Drag, which is kind of a Kiwi drag show as well. Like there's a lot of kind of new queens. There's a couple of babies in there this year. There's a couple of like queens that have been doing it for a long time but kind of stayed within their home cities. And I think that's really exciting because it makes it less about, like, of course there's drama. Of course there's going to be drama. It's Drag Race. But it's
Yeah.
not relying on it. Because I think something we've learned, something the audience around the world has learned by watching Drag Race Down Under, is that we're not necessarily, our drag scene is not maybe the same as the US or the UK, in that it's like, we're not a shady group of people, really. It happens, totally. But we're a kind of a very supportive network, and we kind of all love each other. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like, and so to get to kind of see that and just see the queens kind of flourish and do their drag, as opposed to come in with any kind of like, well, I know her from, she got 1 million followers on TikTok, and yeah, I find that really exciting.
Yeah, and I did notice that actually there was an opportunity in that first episode. You had the three girls, the same venue. You had Anita's partner, and you had the drama. Ivory being like in her head, and that had a potential to be drama, 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 drama. And I was kind of expecting that to roll out in this first episode, and it wasn't. It was kind of
No,
like, oh yeah, we work together. Hey girl, oh you shaked hip. Yep, okay, girl.
yeah.
And
And
Ivory's
look,
having a meltdown. Let's get in there and help.
we'll see whether that turns into anything or not. We'll see. Like there is definitely drama in the season.
Of course.
Um,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see that unfold.
Beautiful. I can't wait as well. It was a good first episode that I think got us to allow us to meet them a little
Yeah.
bit more. Now we got to see that, and you told me already you didn't even see their workroom entrances at all. So the first time you saw them, like they just hit the main stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the first time. Like that's the first time I see like the first time I see Rue every day is on the main stage. The first time I see Michelle, we have a shared dressing room. Or like we don't share a dressing room, but our dressing rooms are next to each other. But yeah, no, so most of the time my work day for a main stage day is I get there and we go straight into the main stage. And the
Yeah.
girls are already done kind of like, and it means I kind of, I'm meeting them for the first time in full drag and often like in their main stage looks. And so it's kind of like, I'm looking at stuff on the page, like, I've researched who they are and that type of thing, and usually scrolled through their social media a little bit, and also terrified that I'm going to press follow because that will be like Redditors, like,
We're onto them.
and terrified that I'm going to like press like on someone's picture like 6 months into their feed or something. Yeah, so it's always a bit interesting to be standing there looking at 10 queens that you're about to spend a lot of time with at least 3 or 4 of them. Like, and then you know that like you maybe are not going to spend much time with some of them, and it's quite a thrill. I think that is my moment of like it's pure audience at that moment, because it's like for anyone watching the show at home, you're sitting there looking at them and it's all possibility. Like it's 100% like we don't know them yet, and we don't know what they're like. You know, if we to go by first episode, Spanky didn't exactly have the greatest first episode of all time, but you know, then fucking goes on to win it. And so it's so I really love filming the first episode and enjoy watching the first episode, because it's like anything can happen from here.
Yeah. And what did you think of the concept of going with a big musical number first up? Because that's got such a potential to just like trip some people up straight away. Do you think it almost disadvantages them in some way straight up by doing something that, you know, requires some really unique talent to be able to thrive there? Or do you think it's just a great chance for them to perform?
It's a great chance for them to perform. I mean, it's a competition reality program. And so I think like to throw them a bit of a curveball first time around is fun. It's a fun thing to do. I definitely think it's like a bit of a sink or swim, and I think it almost does it because they do it on the US season as well. Often, like the first episode is a kind of big full on thing, because you want that moment of shock as well. You want that moment with a queen, because it's like we're in. This isn't like, as I call it, it's, you know, America is the Olympics of drag. I think we have the Commonwealth Games of drag. At least we get one this year. Yeah, I like when they do that. I like when they give them a first number, because it's a really fast way to get to know each and every queen as well, because you can kind of see how they react to stress. And that's what this show is to me. Like, not fully, you know, it's also about inspiration and love and hope and that kind of thing, but it's seeing artists put under a lot of pressure and seeing what that does to them, and what kind of, you know, it's a pressure cooker, and that's the whole point of a show like this. And then to get them at the end and see how they are is the exciting part.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of pressure cooker and performance wise, you know, I love the Queens, and I love everybody. Everybody's out there giving it their all, and I'm very supportive of lip syncs, and I think the lip syncs are very hard to do, and they're not everybody's game. I'm very shocked that there is only one queen going home out of the lip sync that we got for the opener. Is that just me, or
look? To be politically centrist, I'm not, but I always think it's very interesting to watch the edits where everything that happens, from my point of view, and this is what I learned, I think, in the first season, whenever people talk about like riggery and that type of thing, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, everything that happens feels right in the room. Like, I think, you know, there's certain moments that might shock you, like, you know, Art going home the first time. That was I was shocked. But everything in terms of like, you know, this first episode, it all makes sense in the room, I think. It all, and look, it would be a little, also just on a separate tour, it would feel a bit grim to just send 2 home in the first episode.
No.
This is why you are not ever going to be a producer on a professional reality television program. That's terrible.
That's right.
Because then you're gonna have a double Shantae at some point, and like, it's an admin nightmare. You got to get them back. You know, someone's got to jump out of another pile of trash. It's the whole thing.
Logistics. It's just too much. But it was a tricky song too. I think
we're on a budget.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that song. That kind of, I mean, yes, it fits because we're down under, but I was, you know, maybe some Kylie, and I was like, okay, cool. Let's see how they run with that.
I feel so sorry for everyone that thinks that Padam is going to be on it, because we filmed this so long ago.
I know, right? Like,
spoiler alert,
they're going to be waiting for it.
Padam's not in our show.
Oh dear, they will riot.
Imagine though, maybe they'll AI it in. Maybe they'll be a lip sync that I was never even at, and they'll just put, and all the Minogues will be there, even the brother.
I mean, if Rue was never there, then, you know, Kylie was never there. We'll just put her in anyway. So, you know.
Yeah. Just like some brother who works in accounting or something. I always threaten the producers when we film every year that I'm going to announce that we have a Minogue, and just a like a guy that lives in Auckland called Danny Minogue or something, and it's the wrong Danny.
Look,
We've
my
got
producer hat's telling me let's do that.
Kyle Minogue is coming. Kyle and Danny Minogue. They're plumbers from Greater Auckland.
This is a good concept. I'm thinking you should do it. They can be part of the makeover challenge. There you go.
Yes, make Kyle and Danny Minogue, the twins from Auckland, into Kylie and Danny. Oh,
there you go. Now, see, I should be a producer.
You are going to be a producer on a reality television show.
I love it. Well, it's a great first episode, and it's great seeing you back. But bit more about you, because as we said, this is your third time round. You're on the international stage. You had your little haters being like, "Who is he?" Have people switched now from "Who is he?" to "Oh my God, it's him"?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I try not to look, and I'm an idiot. Anyone who says like I just don't look at anything online, they're lies. Everyone's something. But I definitely don't. I think I've been told people like me, which is nice. And I think I don't think I do too much, and it's not necessarily on purpose, but I think my job on that show is to enjoy being there. Like I always think of myself as like and I've maybe said this to you before, but like I'm like a conduit for the audience, because like I'm never gonna give critiques that are like that eye isn't right, or that's not right, or that's not right. But I am going to give critiques of like that didn't seem authentic to me, or that I've been a performer for the better part of 2 decades. I know about performance and authenticity and that sort of stuff in performing, but I'm never going to be like I call myself the Paula Abdul of the group, because I'm happy to be there. And I am because why wouldn't you? And I think that's what I want to be for the audience, is like, if you were there, Michelle genuinely always teases me, because when there's a lip sync, I get jacked. Like I get so excited for it, and like I spin on my chair, and like when I think there's a particular, like it happens plenty of times this year, but there's a particular one last year. I think it might have been Queen lip syncing, and she was really tumbling. It might have been, who was it?
Beverly?
Yes, it was. Yeah. And it was like, it was a bit of a contact sport, like of a lip sync. And I was just like, woo! Like I was so excited to be there, because like drag is so important to me, and Drag Race is a show that I've loved for a very long time. I used to have a podcast about it. That's how much I loved it, that I quietly took down when I got the job. But to be in that room still blows my mind. And so I just always want to be, I try not to take for granted that I get to be there and watch like people do this incredible work. And so I think that's why people kind of, I've not had too much hate. It happens. It absolutely happens. But I've not had too much, because I think people are just happy to see me having a good time.
That's true. I don't think that you can definitely see everything you say in that through your critiques. You're not out there to throw pearls and stab them in the back. Like you have that edge of critique that comes from a performer, not out there to just tear them down. I think probably resonates with people quite well.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of like how much you love the Queens in the show, what's your relationship with them like post show from like your first 2 seasons? Do you go out and you see their shows and you hang out with them? Are you still like
they email me, but I ignore them mostly. No, I try and like, we see, for example, I'm going to the Lokies with Queen Kong. Like it's interesting. In years past, like I went to see Babs like a couple months ago when they were touring through Melbourne, and we had a drink afterwards. Like there is always a difference. There's a little wall that kind of has to break down, I think. Like there's always a moment. So we often have like, we don't have a proper after party kind of thing, but like at the end of filming, the final 3 kind of do their, it's over and they're done. And it's the end of a very big thing for them. And I tend to buy like a bottle of champagne or something, and kind of when they've finished their last talking head, they can come out, and it is a weird little moment where they're kind of, this wall has to break down. But it's been more confusing when I've known people. Like I knew Art, I knew Karen. We've worked together a bunch of times. They've seen me very drunk in my early 20s. I think Karen's definitely seen me throw up more than once. And then suddenly I'm sitting opposite her going, I don't know if this is the right week for you. But I think with these, I know of a lot of these girls this year. I don't know many of them personally. And so it will be really interesting. I'm excited to get to know them now. Like we're doing a little bit of press together. We're kind of hanging out more. I like to give them a bit of space. Some of them probably don't want to talk to me straight away. It's like almost, you know what, I try to like send a message of some sort, or like because also like we can't have any kind of social media, like until they're announced I can't really follow them or like them out of the blue. Like it does look like, if you go through my usually about this time of year, if you were to be an insane person and scroll through my follows, usually I just suddenly follow 10 drag queens very suddenly in about July.
Yes, just after the
Is that a boring
cast
answer to that question? I feel like it was. Anyway.
Yeah, good. Now you're Logie nominated now, technically.
Yeah.
I know.
Up against Lego Masters, definitely gonna win.
Well, I mean, it's anyone's game. It's the Logies.
I genuinely think it is. I think. Do you know who I think? I think Queen is a good potential up for. Like, it's so exciting. Queen Kong is nominated for a Logie. Like that's. I think it's so exciting to, in our country with our particular media landscape, to have not just a drag queen, but a queen like Kong, who is like this incredible kind of theater maker and performer and comedian, but like is so articulate, and so like every time she talks about things like I often go to her to like, what's your opinion on this, and how should I be thinking about this, do you think? She's like a really impressive person, and I genuinely hope she wins. She'll be doing all the talking on the red carpet, I know that. I'll just keep pointing at her.
Ask her. She knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So lastly, you've got, until we, fingers crossed, get another Drag Race, what are you working on next? What's the view? You were in Canada filming something last time we spoke. What's next on Rhys's agenda?
That got cancelled. What else am I doing? I got a book. I wrote a book that comes out on the 31st of October that you can pre-order now. It's called Dish. It's a book of comedy essays, and it's just like silly comedy essays that I really hated writing it. That's not true. It was hard. Writing a book is very hard, it turns out. If you have to write 83,000 words, it's a lot of words. But I'm very proud of it. I think it's funny, and I hope people will like it. You can pre-order it through your local independent bookstore. What else am I doing? I'll do a tour. I'm going to start writing a new stand-up show that I'll tour around the place next year to all the festivals. And yeah, I'll just be Taskmaster. Thank you. My publicist is doing a very good job. I did Taskmaster. We've already filmed it, and that comes out, I think, early next year. They kind of said February, but I don't know if that's real.
Yes, I think I remember seeing you on the cast announcement for that. Yes.
Yeah. Very exciting. It's the craziest thing I've ever been on. And it was the greatest fun. It was really genuinely some of the most fun I've ever had on a TV show before. Second only to RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under, season 3, exclusively on Stan.
Love it.
You spot that I say that every day on set?
Embedded in there now.
Yeah.
Have they asked you? Are you gonna? And if they haven't already, are you gonna go do I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here?
No. I got asked twice, and that was enough. Look, I'll never say no. I love money.
Yeah.
I love money so much. But it just doesn't feel like the right fit at the moment. I mean, look as if they're like banging down my door or some shit. I do not begrudge anyone who does them. I think I had my moment where it would have felt right for me to do it, and that moment will return, I'm sure. But no, not in the next little while. I like my life at the moment, and I like doing the way that the kind of shape of my year at the moment is really nice, and I just to get heat stroke and eat pig's anuses in the middle of that seems like a bit of a vibe killer.
Bit off brand at the moment.
Yeah, a bit off brand. I prefer to, I'll eat pig venison, but I don't want to get heat stroke. It seems hard.
Exactly. Health. Health, health, health.
The one thing I did get out of it when I was meant to do it and I got bumped, I am fully vaccinated for rabies still. So hey, if anyone wants me to go on safari with them, absolutely. I'm free. I'm malaria and rabies free.
Well, on that note, you are Rhys Nicholson. You will be appearing on the rest of RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under exclusively on Stan, and he is rabies and malaria free. It's been a pleasure chatting to you, my love. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you on the rest of the season, which will be airing again next Friday and every Friday up until the end. And you can catch more of that, as we said, on Stan Australia. And it's RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under. I'm Michael James, and he's Rhys Nicholson. Have a great day.
Bye. Bye.